Holy crap.
Season 4!
Welcome to Season 4, Episode 1 of Your Book is Why Daddy Drinks. I'm Tyler.
And I am Matt. I can't believe we're going on our fourth fucking year doing this. This is
I
kind of
can't
crazy.
believe that there are people who actively want to hear us talk about shitty books. That's what I can't believe. I can't believe that we've lasted so long and still have a listening base.
I don't know if it's that they like listening to us read shitty books, or it's the fact that they secretly, sadistically enjoy our suffering and pain. Like, the books are beside the point. It's just hearing a fellow human being suffer that they really get off on.
But to listen for 3 years to that, that's thank you guys.
Yes.
Fucking Season 4.
We wouldn't actually be doing this if it wasn't for you guys. Mostly because we get bored as hell and wander off and do something else. So, Tyler, to get this season started off right, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking an Angry Orchard, a traditional dry Angry Orchard, because I am limited on what I can drink right now because I'm taking part in the Whole Life Challenge. I'm allowed one wine or spirit a day.
Now, what is the Whole Life Challenge? So that other
Whole Life Challenge is something I'm taking part. My wife and I are taking part in through a gym we recently joined. If you're in the LA area, Nerd Strong Gym is an amazing gym that I just joined, and this is in no way a paid advertisement. This is just because I fucking love the gym so much. It's called Nerd Strong Gym, and can't think of words right now because I'm so exhausted from my workout tonight. And they do kind of nerdy themed workouts. Like their 3 types of classes are broken down into strength, dex, and con. Tonight was strength, so we did lifting, and I'm kind of wiped from that. That's why I'm going to have trouble occasionally coming up with words. But you go to nerdstronggym, alloneword.com. You can check them out. And through them, we are doing the Whole Life Challenge. And the Whole Life Challenge is diet, fitness, and lifestyle challenge for 8 weeks. There's different levels you can do for nutrition, and each progressive level cuts out more of the bad things that you're not supposed to have. I'm a baby, so I'm doing the first level, and I can't handle giving up too much. So I'm still allowed to have sugar as an ingredient in things. I just can't add it to stuff, or just I can eat candy, which that's rough.
Yeah.
So you get 5 points a day for eating according to the diet, and that's really why I'm able to stick with this. It's a game where you earn points. You get 5 points a day for that, 2 points a day for working out for 10 minutes, 2 points a day for stretching for 10 minutes. I think it's a point for taking some kind of supplement, a dietary supplement. You have to drink a third of your body weight in ounces of water. So I have to drink 90 ounces of water a day.
Are you sure that is not too much water and that you're not potentially going to get the hydrolysis?
No, you have to drink so much water for that to happen. You have to drink gallons of water a day for that. I'm drinking like 3/4 of a gallon a day. And I'm working out a lot, so I'm using a lot of that water. And then they do a lifestyle challenge every week. And this week is mindfulness, so it's like 10 minutes a day you need to, write in a journal, meditate, or if you're religious, prayer counts. And you get points, and there's a leaderboard, but I would come to the conclusion that the leaderboard is bullshit. Because the top 1,000 people on it all have perfect scores. And I went, wait a minute. There's nothing stopping me from just recording a perfect score every day, except
then you'd be a colossal douchebag and only cheating yourself.
But we're also talking about thousands of people on the internet, so I'm willing to bet there's more than a handful of douchebags. So the only people I can actually um, hold to their scores are myself and people I am close to, which would be the
Mhm.
people on my team who are all from my gym. So that's the only one I look at. I don't look at the world leaderboard. Plus, fucking New Zealand gets to put their scores in before anybody else, so they're always at the top of the leaderboard.
Okay. Cool.
But it's pretty cool. I'm having a great time. I'm trying not to constantly. I mean, we joined this gym a month ago, 5 weeks ago now. I'm trying to not be the guy who constantly talks about it. So 10 minutes into our first podcast of the year, and I've kind of ruined that.
You mean like the joke about how do you know when an atheist, a vegan, and a CrossFitter all walk into a room?
They tell you.
They tell you. Yeah, that's okay. I am happy for you. I am excited that you are attempting to better your life, and I am not going to shit on you for that, because that is super cool. Awesome. I am drinking to celebrate the first recording. The Glenlivet Nadura. It's the single malt Scotch whiskey. It's in, I believe, sherrywood casks. It is delicious, and I am hoping to God that it kills off the last of whatever the hell I picked up, either in Disneyland, not measles, but I either picked something up in Disneyland or in the airport on the way back, and it's just it knocked me out yesterday. It's lingering. Like Connor got it like the least of us. He's just got like a runny nose and some sniffles. Michelle is, as she so often says, the sickest girl ever, and has been suffering at home. But yeah, I'm trying the medicinal whiskey because apparently whiskey is medicinal.
I would almost guarantee you got it on the plane.
I see. The thing is Christy got it too. So I don't know if just sick jerks were on the plane, on both planes, because she was on a totally different plane, or and also a totally different airport, or if like we just were the unlucky ones and we're the ones who caught the potato, so to speak, and everybody else who was there got lucky. So I don't know.
Well, you also traveled, and traveling. You finally get a vacation from work, so you relax a little bit. You're traveling. It weakens your immune system because you're exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always get sick when I travel.
See, and I think that could be it. But other people did the same thing too. Like Nate and Rue, they're fine. Nedra, as far as I know, is fine. So I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, yeah, I'm trying to kill it off, and so I don't keep suffering because I'm about 80%, and I really hate being only like partially sick. Like if I'm actually sick, I can just stay home and relax. But like when you're only partially sick, you're like, shit, I got stuff to do, and that just makes it more miserable. So anyway, we are on to the book for this month. And what was the book this month, Tyler?
The book for this month was chosen because I've talked to a lot of people about this book.
Mm-hmm.
And this book is incredibly polarizing. People love it or they hate it. I'm inclined to believe that everyone who loves it is a fucking idiot. But I think you froze. So
you totally hold on a sec. Start over. You totally lagged out there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
little
seeing
book.
That you lagged.
Yeah.
What did I get to before?
This book was basically just start over on how you found it.
Okay. So this book.
Yeah.
Sorry if this is getting duped for some people. This book. I chose this book. Really wanted to read this because I've talked to a lot of people about this book and it was incredibly polarizing. People either really like it or they really hate it. Haven't heard from anybody who went, it was okay. I am at this point convinced that everybody who really loves it is a fucking idiot.
Okay.
The book we read this month was Divergent by Veronica Roth. It's super popular. It is a trilogy, and now there's like she's actually writing spin-off books about a character that we meet in the book later, and they're just selling like crazy, and it was just a shitty story.
So let me get into kind of the story of it, and then I want to hear why you think it was so shit, considering this was your suggestion. So Divergent takes place in some time in the far future, though not too far in the future, and basically the world has gone to shit. Something happened, and the world's population got reduced drastically, and mostly it was due to some sort of fighting from basically because everyone was an asshole. It can be summed up. Everyone's an asshole because of politics or religion or race or whatever. Basically, take every reason why people hate other people in the world, crank that up to 11, give everybody guns, and then tend to use them, and there you go. Now, society at this point basically has been kind of shaped into 5 groups, and these are your 5. Was it caste, clans? What was the fucking term for it? I don't even remember. I'm pushing this book out of my mind already.
It's faction. They call them factions.
Thank you. And the 5 factions are amity, abnegation, dauntless, erudite, and candor. And so all of these factions are basically they're stereotypes. They are stereotypes. They are if you are X, you are Y. So if you're candor, then you're not going to lie because you value truth. If you're erudite, you are going to value knowledge, and you're going to be, try and study and learn things. If you're amity, you're a fucking hippie. You want peace and love and happiness for everybody. If you're dauntless, shouldn't be hard to figure out. You're going to be heroic and risk-taking and a fighter and blah, blah, blah. And if you're abnegation, their thing is selflessness. They are helpers. They don't ask anything to the point where they don't even have mirrors, because mirrors basically focus your attention away from yourself back onto you. So they don't have mirrors. Basically, they get like the main character, Patricia, or Triss, as she's later called, gets her haircut, like, was it once every 3 months? And that's when she gets to see her reflection, unless she happens to look in like a mirror or like she never gets to see her reflection except in every 3 months when she looks in the mirror. So what? She doesn't look into puddles of water or reflective surfaces in metal. Like,
no, they don't have those in abnegation.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, and basically, this society is split up into these groups, and more or less you're raised by your faction until you turn 16, and then you get put into the sorting hat. Or basically it's called, you basically go into a test where they do a virtual reality sort of thing where they inject you with a serum and you start hallucinating. And during this hallucination, depending upon how you react to the hallucination, to various stimuli, basically it shows what faction you actually should be. And so this is like a choosing ceremony. And so you can, depending on what this thing tells you, it basically says what the serum thinks you should be. But you still have a choice. And so then you go to the ceremony where all the 16-year-olds in this world or this mega city or whatever. It's never really clear if there are other cities with these factions out in the world. Basically, it makes it sound like there's just one last mega city left. And they go into a room where there are these various braziers or braziers, excuse me, flaming bras. That would have been made more interesting. Then it would have been written by the dude, been some gonzo thing. Anyway, and the kid basically takes a knife because for some reason it shows that you're really committed if you cut your hand and bleed on some flaming rocks. And depending on which flaming rocks you bleed on, you pick your new faction. And so then you go off and you do it. And so anyway, Triss, the main character, has a real struggles at times with her selflessness. And so when it comes time for her choosing ceremony, she chooses to be Dauntless, the fearsome, fearless, heroic types. And this is a big deal because it's pretty serious if you leave your faction. A lot of people tend to look at it kind of negatively. There's a stigma to it in that you're turning your back on your family because you leave your family. You join this faction, you're gone. Totally, to the point where you can't even really go and visit them, except for like special reasons, special circumstances, and so and it's a very big deal, especially for her, because her dad is very stout abnegation to the point where he is a council member who basically runs the city. Abnegation is the faction that is in charge of the society because they their whole thing is service. So they were put in charge of taking care of themselves and the city, and also the factionless, the people who, for some reason, aren't part of the factions. And there's a couple of different ways you can become factionless, and basically your life sucks. You get the shit jobs for barely subsistence living. And like maybe you might have an overpass that doesn't leak when it rains, and maybe you might have enough clothes, and maybe you might get just barely enough food to live. But that's the society that they're in now. Is that apparently you can get kicked out of the 5 groups that you can be part of. Anyway, she goes and joins Dauntless, and when she gets to the Dauntless headquarters, she finds out that no surprise, you're not really part of Dauntless yet. You still have to go through the initiation, and even though every faction has its initiation, apparently part of the Dauntless initiation is that it's basically they only take the top 10 people of that particular year who choose Dauntless. And this year it happens to be 5 Dauntless-born initiates and 5 transfers. And so Triss is put through a variety of trials. There's a trial where she has to learn how to fight and shoot and everything, and of course she picks it. These initiates pick up shooting and everything super quick, right? Like it's I think like a couple of weeks maybe, and suddenly they're hand-to-hand combat experts and shooting people with guns like they've been using them their entire lives. And it's bullshit. And she's not so great at that. Like there are other kids who are better at it than she is. Mainly like the Dauntless people who were born to that lifestyle. And also while she is there, she encounters 3 rather unpleasant students who are just kind of assholes. And they make her life hell in that way that there's always somebody who's picking on that plain girl who is, just trying her best in these young adult novels. And then the second trial is like education, like they're learning about their jobs and everything, and then the third trial is fear, basically. You have to master your fear, because Dauntless people, they are in touch with their fear so that they can be heroic, so that they can know what their fears are and overcome them. And basically, the fear test is they scan your brain looking for fears that you might have, and then they basically put you into a simulation where you have to then face them and overcome them in some way, either by dealing with them or by learning to cope. And the only person then, and people have a variety number of fears. Some people have a lot, some people have not so many. And then the person with the lowest fears is a guy named Four, who is one of Triss's trainers. And you can probably guess why he's called Four, because he has 4 fears. And he's currently the record holder on the fewest fears. He is also the shiny boy that Triss ends up, falling for. He pulls the stereotypical bullshit that Edward did of I'm going to treat you shitty because I can't let anybody know that I actually really like you. And at least in some way, there is at least some reason for that, because then people, if they were out about the fact that they liked each other, then there's a conflict of interest there because he's part of the person who's scoring her progress, and people don't want to see like, oh, well, you just gave her a good grade because you're making googly eyes at her because they don't actually do anything other than smooch occasionally. But he's kind of a dick through portions of it. And then there is, and so she goes into the test. She's got 7 fears. She comes through them crazy fast. Um, and she passes. She's then dauntless. While all of this is happening, um, there's been this thread arc that's kind of woven into the background of this thing that is the title of the book, which is Divergent. You're not ever really told through most of the book what Divergent means. And you first find out about Divergent during the whole sorting hat thing because Triss kind of beats the simulation. She works it in such a way that the simulation doesn't pick a faction for her. It's inconclusive. She could be Dauntless, or she could be Abnegation, because she doesn't lie very well. She's not very happy-go-lucky for Amity, or she lies, so Candor's out. She's not happy-go-lucky, so Amity's out. She's not really a book person, so Erudite's out. She also personally dislikes them. And that's a big deal, to the point where the person administering her test, who is also Dauntless, basically says, shut the fuck up, don't mention that I told you this, you're Divergent, that's, and basically implies it's bad. So that doesn't really come up through most of it until some shitty things happen during the whole training she goes through in the various tests. Like at one point she's almost killed, she's almost thrown into this basically gorge with a river at the bottom of it by a couple of fellow students, one of whom, and they're stopped by 4, one of whom commits suicide, and then, and 4 beats the shit out of the other ones. And then there's, she comes across a conversation where basically she overhears Eric, who's the leader of the Dauntless, talking to some unknown female about how he needs to keep an eye out for divergence and report them immediately, but we don't know why they need to be reported. And she also runs into another Divergent, another Dauntless, the one who gave her the test, told her about being Divergent, and she explains that her brother was probably Divergent because basically he was doing super well in his tests. He super handled the simulations really well, which is a sign of being Divergent. And he went from one day to being alive and happy and doing really well in his tests and everything to become Dauntless, and the next day they found him at the bottom of the gorge, supposedly having killed himself. But his sister's like, yeah, they fucking offed him. So she passes the test and everything, and they're going through their initiation ceremony, and they're going to basically get injected with the serum that supposedly is a tracking device that the Erudite have come up with. And it's actually a brain control serum. Because the Erudite want to use the Dauntless as a drone army, and they want to use it because they want to get rid of Abnegation. Another plot arc that's been going on through this whole book is that the Erudite have been basically stirring up unrest against Abnegation for some reason, because apparently being selfless is, people want to be dicks and just be against that, and they don't like the way that Abnegation is running things. Some of them are ostensibly thinking that progress in regaining their society is going slower because of Abnegation, and then some of them are just kind of, they just want to rule the world, and other people just want to watch the world burn. And so they inject all of the people with this serum that basically then puts them into a simulation, which allows the Erudite to control them and direct them. So now they have an army of drone killers. And because 4 is also Divergent, and because Triss is Divergent, they're able to shake off the serum. And the Dauntless are all loaded up onto a train, shipped into the Abnegation part of town, and basically just start killing people. And Triss and Four get away. Triss is eventually, and then they try to go warn her family. Triss gets shot in the arm, and they get captured. They are taken before, what is it, Janine? Is it Janine, the leader of the Erudite?
Yes.
Janine,
I think
who's the leader of the leader of the Erudite, who's the one who's also been stirring up the anti-abnegation sentiment, where she cackles maniacally about how Four, who's actually the son of the leader of abnegation, got captured, and how they're going to use him to kill people. They basically superdose him with the serum, so even though he's divergent, they're going to use him as like a super drone. And then they take Triss off and try to kill her in the same manner as one of her fears. They're going to try and drown her in a box, because why would you just not put a bullet in a person's head when you have to come up with an elaborate scheme to kill them? Doesn't make any fucking sense. But it's meant there to be drama. And then who shows up to save her but her mom? And you find out her mom used to be Dauntless before she switched to Abnegation, and that her mom, surprise, surprise, is Divergent as well. So this rare thing is actually apparently not so rare. So her mom saves her, dies in the process. Triss makes her way to where her father and brother and another of Abnegation people, including Marcus, Thor's father, is hiding. And she, of course, figures out where the brain controlling computers are that are controlling the Dauntless, which is the Dauntless headquarters. It makes sense that you're going to control the Dauntless from their own home, because why would the Erudites set up their super master computer in a place that they could secure themselves? I don't fucking know. Anyway, and she basically leads a raid with her father, Marcus, and her brother. 4-person raid, breaking in there. And the book ends with her father dead, with Four rescued, having downloaded the data, quote unquote, that supposedly shows that the Erudite are controlling the Dauntless, or is the code for the simulation that controls them. I don't know. Her brother survives, and Peter, one of the three assholes who tormented her during the whole initiation process, is with them as well, because Triss, in order to get information out of him, freaking just caps him in the arm, and then basically he makes her promise to take him with them. So instead of just shooting him, they drag him bleeding along behind them. And they're on a train, and I can't remember, are they going to Candor or Amity?
They're going to Amity.
Amity. They're going to Amity because apparently they think that because Amity values life, that the Amity will protect them against the Erudite, because they won't let the Erudite kill them. And that the Amity, because they value life, if they are told about what the Erudite are doing by this wholesale slaughter of basically these people who won't defend themselves, because apparently that's selfish, then the Amity will step in and stop them. And that's where the book ends. So, Tyler, why didn't you like the book?
Because it was bullshit. First off, sorting everybody based on a single personality trait. That's never going to happen. Deciding someone's entire social and political standing based on a single personality trait, it's never going to happen. That's just crap. People are more than a single aspect of their personality. I really fucking hated the love story that they felt they needed to cram in there.
Oh,
this could have been an awesome story, but then they're like, oh, we have to make her fall in love.
It's just because of the trope. It's just because it's YA and like
the whole thing is super tropey. Of course she's somehow special. Of course the guy she loves is somehow special.
Not only is she somehow special, she's apparently super special in that the serum really doesn't work on her. And not only that, but she is able to, by the power of her voice alone, break him out of the super simulation, right? Because at the end of the book, he's guarding the supercomputer because he's actually the best Dauntless. He was the first in his class.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not the leader of the Dauntless because he didn't want to have the power, because his dad was actually a physically abusive asshole, and he's afraid that if he got into power, he would become like his father. So, of course, Janine puts him as the best Dauntless in charge of defending the computer. And so, like, at one point, he's like they're fighting, and he's on top of her, and he's slowly pointing the gun at her temple, and she's like, of course, she's like, no, Tobias, which is his real name, no, Tobias, don't, it's me, and then he's like, I heard you in the simulation, and it broke me out. So she's even super special, which is again bullshit.
Well, I think basically his the drugs they gave him a simulation to basically to see that whoever they wanted him to see as an enemy was an enemy. And when she stopped fighting him, he went, oh wait, she's not my enemy, and that was what broke him out. And then he's like, oh, I heard your voice, and it was just super sappy bullshit that it's dumb.
Yeah.
Everything that happened in this book was so incredibly predictable. When you first meet Four, and the other dickhead was like, you should have taken our job offer. All right, they're evil, somehow involved in some horrible plot, clearly with Erudite, because Erudite's rumor mongering. And it was so incredibly predictable. It was one of the worst young adult books I've ever read.
So, I mean, the thing is that my problem, one of my problems with it, like you said, it's bullshit. So, one of the things I've talked about multiple times is you got to put thought process into this. You can't just have things be, because it needs to make sense. It needs to have a reason behind it. And somehow the population of the world, or at least a large portion of the population of the world, gets reduced to just the population of this megacity, right? And it apparently doesn't even seem to be that many people, because if the Erudite with the Dauntless can attempt to wipe out Abnegation in a single night, in a matter of 10 to 12 hours, and also the point where the people in Abnegation almost all know each other, and all the kids of the factions know each other, that's not a big population. So it's like, the city, I didn't get a feeling for how big this community is supposed to be, right? There was no real sense of that for me. Also, supposedly they put these people into these 5 factions to try and eliminate the kind of tribalistic, you're an asshole because you don't believe in God, or you're an asshole because you do, or you're black, or you're white, or you're fucking conservative, or you're American, or whatever. So they supposedly put these people in these factions to eliminate those tendencies, but they basically hyper-focused it. So, I mean, that didn't make any sense. There was no sense really of how long ago these past events were, right? That reduced the population in the area to the single group. But they made it sound like this had been going on for a while, but yet the population numbers are not very big, because you can kill an entire faction in a night, or at least kill enough of them where you can then enslave the rest. So it didn't feel well thought out in that sort of sense. The perspective of space and size felt off to me. There's the whole stupid trope about her being the special one, right? and the fact that there are four or five divergents in this book, right? And it's supposedly super rare, but we run into there's Triss, there's Four, there's her mom, and there's some random dauntless dude who, as they're making their way up the tower, shoots a couple of other dauntless guards, and then just vanishes. Doesn't help them do anything, doesn't do anything, just basically gives them a nod and walks off scene. Um, I felt like the fact that three kids from factions that weren't physical like the Dauntless would attempt to murder her by by kidnapping her, blindfolding her, and then physically picking her up and throwing her into a gorge felt kind of unbelievable. Like, these are kids from factions that would talk shitty about you, and that's pretty much the worst that they would do because their existence is not defined by their physicality. But yet they're going to fucking lay hands on a kid and throw them. There's the unrealness.
Well, they all had also been training with Dauntless for quite a while.
Well, no, not quite a while. I mean, I didn't get the sense.
A few weeks into their training.
Sure, but still, that is a large. There's in 4 weeks. I find it difficult to believe that 4 months, 2 months. I find it difficult to believe that you would be able to take kids whose entire existence had been, because wasn't Al Abnegation?
No, he was. Crap, I can't remember. He wasn't Candor.
Wasn't Amity? Was he?
He might have been Erudite.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe anyway. But especially Al, right? Because Al was seen as like all throughout the book, he didn't want to fight. He was like this big, imposing dude, and he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to hurt people. And you're meaning to tell me that you're going to drive these children who have not had that be part of their lives to fucking Lord of the Flies bullshit in 4 weeks? And you're going to try and tell me that these kids are going to get turned into fucking crack shots? And martial arts.
Peter and Drew were already sociopaths.
Okay, maybe I can see that, but
so I can see the two of them absolutely trying to kill somebody, especially when it's not really frowned upon in Dauntless by the current leaders.
To murder each other, I think that they would frown on that. Beating the shit out of them is one thing.
I think
their goddamn gorge is
everybody but Four in their leadership would have gone, huh? Okay.
Survival of the strong.
Exactly.
Right.
At least the other dude would have.
Right.
Whose name I can't remember right now.
Eric.
The
leader. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot in this book that doesn't make sense to me, right? Like you said, like reducing people to a single trait. That doesn't make any sense, right? Like in the concept of things that they put out there, like, why would it's like, okay, so Abnegation, they're the faction that's in control. Why are they solely in control? Right?
They were put in control because they were selfless. That everyone the people who don't care for themselves are going to do what's best for everyone else, so let's put them in charge. But that would never happen when you have groups like Dauntless and Erudite.
Well, I mean,
are so incredibly self-serving. Yeah, it's just.
Well, I mean, also, you've got Candor, who I mean, why wouldn't they have a say? Because they're not going to lie, right? Like this, like the function of the society doesn't make any sense,
right?
And then there's the whole factionless. So, are you meaning to tell me in which there's a whole group who are selfless? that this whole faction is selfless to the point where like the dad is yelling at Triss for shooting someone who was attempting to murder them. That faction wouldn't take in factionless and make them
Right.
right like
Right. Abnegation would absolutely take in factionless.
right like that doesn't make any sense, right? Like they'd be like, yeah, you can come join us because and at the point is
Or
also
amity.
how can you have how if your whole thing is selflessness and the whole thing is judging and not judging people, right? Like that was part of the thing that they have a problem with is judging others, or Triss does. Then who gives a shit if you're a bad abnegation? Your whole thing is selflessness, and so judging
because no one is completely selfless. And I think that might have been the point they were trying to make, that if they were willing to judge you for being bad at being selfless and not you're bad at not judging other people, so I'm going to judge you for it. It's a hypocrisy that I think was attempted, because I mean the leader of abnegation, who is Tobias Forrest's father, regularly beat him,
yes,
and it's like they're showing, oh, they're not perfect. Nobody in that faction could be, and it's just so fucking tropey and cliche.
yeah. And also like there were some things stylistically with the wording, with the writing, like she did to be like dramatic. That I rolled my eyes at, right? Like, so like at the end of the book, perfect example of this. At the end of the book, they've downloaded the hardware. They're gonna escape from the Dauntless headquarters, and she stops to look at her dad, and she's like, "I'll have 5 seconds for weakness. 1, 2, 3, 4," and then the last like word 5 is on its own line, and then it ends. It's like it just felt like this weirdly abrupt thing she put in just to kind of be like try and make some artificial drama that felt juvenile to me, really. Mm-hmm. It to me, it's kind of like trying to create drama by the stereotype of William Shatner as Captain Kirk, right? If I talk like this, it is somehow more something, whether it's more dramatic. It's like, it felt like that to me. I don't know why this book is so popular. I mean, and really, honestly, this isn't anything we haven't seen before. We've seen better dystopian books featuring children with Hunger Games. We've featured better shitty relationships with Twilight. This just seemed like it was trying to bite on this YA thing by going super tropey, and it's not.
I'll tell you why this book is so popular. This book is so popular because the average IQ in America is 100. That means half the population has a double-digit IQ. And I just read another thing that said the average incoming college freshman has a 7th grade reading level.
Oh, it's sad.
And that most people, once they graduate high school, if they don't go to college, or once they graduate college, rarely pick up a book again. So, now that reading's becoming popular again, they're going to read stupid, tropey, cliche bullshit. It's the same reason Michael Bay movies are popular.
Have you seen the last epic rap battles of history?
No. Who is it?
It starts off Steven Spielberg versus Alfred Hitchcock, and it ends with Michael Bay. And It's kind of good, but basically his whole rap is about how he's fucking making money and he doesn't give a shit about making movies.
Sure.
Um.
So there is a
Anyway,
Saturday Night Live sketch that sums up everything I really feel about books like this and like Maze Runner, Hunger Games. And it was Saturday Night Live. It was back from October when Bill Hader was hosting. It's called The Group Hopper.
the group hopper. Okay.
And it's goddamn hilarious,
All right. What's it
especially if
about?
you've read the books. It's about a guy who gets thrown into this. He's in this civilization, and he displays traits from all the different groups. So he's able to jump between the groups. And they're like, "What's your name?" He's all, "Well, I don't know my parents, but they tattooed my name on me. It's Thero." And they look at it, and it says "The Hero."
Uh huh.
And as they're trying to escape from this city, they're like, "Oh, those are I can't remember what the hell they called them. Those are like this certain type of monster, and they can only be killed with one of these, and no one has seen one in hundreds of years." And he goes, "Oh, I wish I had one. All I have is this talisman my mom left me when I was a baby, and it's the thing that he needs. It's like a weird boomerang that he needs to kill these things, and he's suddenly magically good at it. It's just fucking hilarious because it nails all of the tropes."
And so does this book. Um. Yeah. It's just. God. Um. Yeah. I mean, I really don't have anything else to say about this book because it's super mediocre.
Yeah,
And it's bad in its mediocrity. Like there are some
it's
books where you can say like, okay, yeah, that was a book, and yeah, it wasn't anything special, but at least it was entertaining. I wasn't entertained by this book at all, and it wasn't
so.
like offensively bad. It was just stupid.
Here's my other monster problem with this book. It is not a complete book. There is
True.
no resolution to what happens. It was it was written in order to make you go out and buy the next book, which I guarantee the next book, I think it's called Insurgent, is designed to make you go out and buy the third book. And
Yes,
it's awful, and it's a horrible way to treat a reading audience.
definitely. And I mean, we and that's a complaint we've had before in the show about the books that are just like this is like it says one in a trilogy. And okay, I get that. I get that there are books in a trilogy and that they're telling an overarching story. That's fine. They should still be their own
Mm-hmm.
story, right? Like I didn't
You know what
feel like
happened at the end of the first Star Wars movie?
they blew up the
They
fucking
blew
Death
up the
Star.
fucking Death Star.
They blew up the Death Star.
Darth Vader was off somewhere in his ship, presumed dead. The Death Star was blown up, and they were having a fucking party.
Yeah, that was
There
the
was there was
conclusion of that arc.
there was a contained plot, but then there was a sequel that managed to keep that story going. Empire
Is a little
less
guilty
so,
of our complaint.
but the first book of a trilogy, first book of a series, should always stand on its own. The first movie of a series should always stand on its own because what if it's not popular enough to get the next one made?
Or, dude, Indiana Jones. I mean, all it's an
Oh well, yeah.
episodic trilogy, but
Well,
it's not telling an
Temple of
overarching
Doom
story.
is actually a prequel. Temple
Sure,
of
okay,
Doom
I can
happens
get behind that.
before Raiders,
Raiders, I can get
and then
behind
the
that
Last
idea.
Crusade happens way after, and then the shit show in the fridge happens way later than that.
I think I'm going to just describe it there. Either that or it's History Channel. It's the History Channel.
Oh, slow decline.
No, aliens. It's just the dude with the big hair and the aliens meme. That's
Now,
what it is.
I have to
It's the
say,
aliens.
I did not hate the fourth Indiana Jones
I
movie,
fucking hated
much
it.
as a lot of people do. I was entertained for 2 hours in that movie theater. It was definitely no Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was Temple of Doom, I
I'm
wasn't a huge fan, and
I'm
it
gonna have
certainly was no Last Crusade.
no. I'm sorry. I have to. I didn't find any part of that, from the really bad attempt at making the snakes joke to the fact that Miriam, a woman who owned her own bar in like fucking Kazakhstan by herself, drinking fucking people under the table on her own, who punched Indy out and fucking was like, "You're mine. You're coming to bed with me." Like, she got turned into this like
Hmm.
starry-eyed, oh, Indy
They
bullshit. That
definitely way watered her down.
Shia LaDouche and his
He
horribly
was not good in
CGI'd.
that movie.
He is horribly CGI'd flying through the
That was a
swinging with the
shitty scene.
monkeys. I mean, everything about it was just terrible. God. Anyway, getting back to this shit, um, but yeah, I
Turning
agree
down a
with
role
you.
in that movie was the best thing Sean Connery did.
Oh, you know what? And another fucking unforgivable thing. Another fucking unforgivable thing. No goddamn Sala. No Sala at all. Not even a goddamn nod. Marcus Brody got a nod. The dad got a nod. Where the fuck is Sala? He is always there when shit goes down for Eddie. No fucking
No,
mention.
he was
Bullshit.
there the second and third time shit went down for Indy. He was not there in Temple of Doom.
Well, sure, but that was before. You could make the argument that it was before he met Sala.
Okay.
This is no prequel. I would say that that's how it was, and not the fact that maybe
I think it
Harry
gets. I
Davies was like,
think
"Fuck that movie, no way in hell."
he's like fuck you guys. I'm Gimli now. I think the movie gets more hate than it deserves, but it was
So
not
do I.
good.
No, the best thing to come out of that was that Steven Spielberg got a wife. That's
Oh no,
basically
no, I'm
what
talking
happened.
about Crystal Skull. I think that gets
Oh,
more
okay.
than it deserves.
No, that movie was shit. Anyway, well, let's get back to
That's
this
what.
one.
When has anyone ever revisited a series that was wrapped up years and years and years ago and had it be as good as the original?
I don't know. We'll find out in December, won't we? With Star Wars.
Is that when it comes out, December?
Yeah, starting in
I'm
2015.
not. I'm not paying enough attention to it because I don't want to. I don't want to believe anything about it
You know,
before.
I will say this again before we get back to the book. Um, the guy who plays in the trailer, if you watch it, the guy who plays the stormtrooper who wakes up in the desert,
Uh-huh.
um, is the same guy who is in a very not well known movie called Attack the Block. Attack the Block is a British film. It's about basically these British ghetto kids living in. I can't remember what the name of it is for. It's basically like a project. It's a housing project. I can't remember the name, and it gets invaded by aliens. Um, it's a much smarter film than what it sounds like, because it actually there's a lot of commentary about um, social structures and social differences that come apart about part of it. And that guy who plays the stormtrooper plays the main character in that movie, and he was really, really good. It was a very entertaining film. I definitely suggest that people watch it. So I'm at least happy that he's in it, because one, he's getting more work, and I think that's great, and also I think that he can do a good job. So anyway, I have hopes. But excuse me. You and I just read. I don't know if you read the sequel, but a couple months ago, we read a book that was very obviously the start of a series, Six Gun Tarot. We talked about it on the show, but it was its own book, right?
Definitely.
It set the stage for further books, and the sequel has come out, but it told
If
an
you
entire story.
if you can tell an entire story, but build your world and characters so well that people are like, I want to read more about them. I want to see more of them. You've done a good job.
See,
If you ended on a fucking cliffhanger without resolving any of your actual plots, guess what? You write for Lost.
um, see, I am a little torn on that because I do think like there is some kind of a place for books like that, right? Like fucking episode Empire. Empire does that. Does Empire tell an entire story in that arc? Because
Right.
you're getting Luke's transformation into a Jedi and dealing with his father. You're getting um, Han Solo's dealing with his bounty. Um, so it's there are plot arcs that conclude in that, and it still ends on a cliffhanger. And I think that you can do that, especially if you're upfront and clear about it, right? Because I mean, this said very upfront that this was part of a trilogy, and it's not a sleeper series, right? So
Right.
you buy it getting into knowing that it's going to be part of a series of books. Um, so I think that in that case there is room for that. I just think that this book did it poorly. I don't know. I don't think it did it. I don't. I think that it attempted to do it. I don't think that it did it enough because it didn't actually resolve anything, right? Like the Erudite are still in charge. The Erudite still have the Dauntless. You know, nothing got resolved with that arc.
Right.
So
Yeah, they're like you get the main conflict of the story. It happens in the last
it really happened.
20% of the book,
Yeah, last quarter of the book.
if even that much, and then it doesn't get resolved.
Yeah, this book is mostly just set up, and
It
in
would
that
be like back to Star Wars if they blew up Alderaan in the last 15 minutes of the movie, and then they never blew up the Death Star.
yeah, like they're like, oh, we've got the plans.
Right.
dot dot dot. Like if the movie ended with them rescuing Princess Leia.
If the movie ended with them with a bunch of Bothan spies dying to get them some plans.
No, not even that, right? Like you know that like they set up who Princess Leia is, they set up who Luke is, and then like yeah, it concludes with "Aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper?" Scene, right? Like that's where it would end.
Womp womp.
You don't even get them escaping the Superstar Destroyer. Um, so yeah, I think that that's if Star Wars had been done like this book, that's how it would be. Um,
All right, so
yeah,
I'm done talking about Divergent. It
I
sucked.
am
Don't read it. Let's talk about 50 Shades of Grey.
the movie. So current plan, and I still have to run this by Michelle. She was not feeling well tonight, and I was watching the kid and taking him off her hands. So I'm going to talk with her about it tonight, or tomorrow night, excuse me, because she is asleep. I am going to attempt to come down to see Tyler over President's Day weekend. And if I am able to do that, I am going to fly down early enough on that Friday because that's opening day. And he and I are going to go see 50 Shades of Grey. And we will give a podcast after that as a bonus podcast for the month. We'll still read a book, but we will subject ourselves to that for you without doing a charity thing because just time got away from us and we didn't have time to properly set it up and talk about it. But what will we be doing for the charity drive?
For the charity drive, let me see when.
Yeah, if you can look up Insurgent is the name of it.
See when that.
Maybe we'll read
out.
Insurgent the book and then yeah.
Let's see. I'm thinking March 20th. So it comes out a week after. Or
Not a week
month
after.
after.
A month after.
It's a month after. 5 weeks later.
Yeah. But we can do that. That's enough
so
time
maybe
for a charity
maybe
drive.
we'll do Insurgent. That's plenty of time because we need a month for it. We'll go see Insurgent. Actually, Kate and I are coming up at the end of March,
Yeah, why don't you do it when you come up?
so we
'Cause
could
you don't.
totally do it then.
Yeah, it won't be
All right,
opening night.
so
Yeah.
we'll give it a week, so we don't have to deal with a bunch of screaming girls in the audience. We'll put up a charity drive in the next few weeks. If we raise enough money, we'll go see Insurgent, and we'll read Insurgent, and have a comparison contrast cry.
Now, if they reach the charity drive, I think that Insurgent should be a bonus book for March as part
Okay.
of it.
So
I
you
think
want to read
that
2 books in March?
I think so. I think that's the thing, like, right? Like we're doing, we're doing our usual shtick, and then if people raise enough money to hit the charity drive amount, that's when it kicks in
I'm
this
okay
thing.
with that. I'm okay with that because Divergent took me like 3 days to read.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I opened it and my Kindle app started doing the time calculation, like it
There's
said,
all
it
20
will
minutes
take
left in this book.
it will take you. It would take me about 3.5 hours to read at the pace I was going at, and that's not including the fact that the last 10% of the book is actually a preview of Insurgent.
Yeah.
So it even took me less time than what it estimated. So okay, cool. That is what we'll do. Um, so we'll get that set up, and I think you had said you had even found a charity for this already.
I have found this charity, and I promptly have forgotten it. Give me like 10 seconds. I'll find it. I sent myself an email.
And if you do this, we can get Kendra and potentially Dan and Ed involved because they will be up here.
Sure.
Yeah, we can see if we can work that out.
All right.
Maybe we can make those like stretch goals or something.
The charity I found is a charity called Equality Now, and it's an international human rights charity. I've lost my write-up on it. Yeah, Charity Navigator's being a dick to me right now.
So, how did you find out about them?
Well, our initial goal was for when we were talking about finding a women's charity, specifically for domestic violence or single mother homelessness, things like that, for us to go see 50 Shades of Grey. And I found a couple that seemed cool, but then I couldn't find any information other than what they themselves put out on them. There's
that's
this
always
one
a little
called,
sketchy.
right. There's one called Made by Survivors, where they basically take survivors of domestic abuse and teach them skills, and they make products, and then they sell through this site to like
raise money for themselves.
Themselves and the charity. But the one I'm looking at now is called Equality Now, and equalitynow.org. They're basically all about women's rights all over the world, and that's something I think we should probably be paying a little more attention to as a people, because worldwide there's still so many places where they have no rights at all.
Dude, yeah. When women can get acid thrown in their face for daring to open a book and attempting to educate themselves, that's some bullshit.
Yeah. We are by no means experts on this subject, so please don't write us and tell us that we're I don't know. Wow, not drinking for a while has really lowered my tolerance. We'll have more information up. I'll provide a better write-up for Equality Now and what they do when we get the charity drive listed, probably on Indiegogo, because they were really good to us last time. I love Indiegogo for what they do. Basically, Indiegogo is different than most of the other ones because even if it doesn't meet its goal,
They still fund you.
They're still going to give whatever you raise to that charity.
Yeah.
Where most of them, it's just, if you didn't meet your goal, tough.
Yep.
Do we have a book for next month yet?
I don't know. I think we had some ideas.
Whatever. We still got 9 days to figure it out.
Yes. No, it's the 22nd. Or no, 9. Bad at math. Scotch is good. Bad at math. Let's see. You even posted about the group hopper. I totally missed that.
See, I knew I wasn't losing my mind. I was like, I thought I posted this.
So, Creighton Brown in the Facebook group suggested
fuck that guy.
Graveyard Sky, Black Tide
shit,
Rising
that
Book
awful.
1, which is a book about zombies.
I hate zombies.
Now, I have a small problem with this because it's written by John Ringo, the guy who wrote Ghost.
Oh,
and
really?
I make it a very try to be very conscientious about where my money is going, and the fact that I could be contributing anything more to this guy's financial success really kind of makes my teeth itch, because I think anyone who writes the ghost books for whatever reason is kind of a horrible human being, right? Like, you are making things that intentionally demean other people, and not even to say, like, for some sort of commentary that shit's bad. This is your main character. The hero of your story is a goddamn racist, misogynist, rapist. You know.
So, there's the Giant Ants book that we both independently found. You posted it about first.
Yes.
There's also Creighton Brown's other offering of the Deed of Paxenarian that he said Stu Unhappy Jex has talked about. I brought it up to Stu, and he's like, I have no fucking clue what you're talking about. So,
okay.
I'm thinking we could tackle either one of those, or
you know what
no,
book you
I'm
need
not
to read?
gonna do
You still need to
by
read for fun.
I still need to read Amish Vampires in Space.
Yeah.
That is on my list.
You know, I say it would be amusing as shit to talk about a book where humankind has, as a survival mechanism, managed to shrink themselves down to the size of ants. I think
I just love the title of this book.
Which is what?
The Illustrated Prophets of the Ghost Ants, Part 1, The Roach Boy. How fucking great is this book going to be? Oh my god. Part 1, The Roach Boy, of the acclaimed science fiction fantasy novel Prophets of the Ghost Ants, has been illustrated as a Kindle ebook by the award-winning artist Moz Chops.
Moz Chops.
Includes a detail of 16 extraordinary color illustrations and a very beautiful map. The story.
It's a fucking graphic novel? I didn't catch that.
It's like there's like 16 illustrations throughout the whole book.
Oh, okay.
The setting of is Earth of the far-flung future, when all traces of our civilization have long vanished. Fuck. God damn it, show more. Have long vanished. Damn it,
why is my fucking Facebook only showing, like, it shows up to, like, December 29th, and then it jumps to fucking, like, July.
Because Facebook hates you.
God, I want to see all those other posts. Anyway, that's bullshit.
I haven't seen anything about them saying that humans shrunk themselves down.
Yeah, that was.
But they have to, because ants can't get much bigger than they are now.
Hold on.
It just doesn't work that way.
Ants. I'm gonna look it up on the BookBub. The ghost ants. Yeah.
No, here it is.
It's the book
has clung stubbornly to existence, thanks to a perverse turn of evolution. For as the weary planet became inexorably depleted, our species adapted by growing smaller with every passing eon, until at last we stood in parity with the only other higher species to survive: insects. Okay.
Yeah. So, okay,
God damn it.
we're gonna do it.
All right, so we're going to read
the ant book.
Prophets of the Ghost Dance Part 1, The Roach Boy, for February.
The deal is no longer available. How much is this bullshit gonna cost us?
$4.99.
Oh, damn it! I knew I
Yep.
should have bought it when it was cheap.
Yep.
Oh well.
I think that's actually how I found this book, was through BookBub.
Yeah, it was BookBub
It was like 99 cents. I was like, oh.
by Clark
Dude,
Thomas
the number of
Carlton.
books that I get offered through BookBub that are free, I'm like, oh, that is a possible book for us to read. Anytime a book comes up for free on BookBub, I buy it. I get it because potential.
Yeah.
I read a lot of them. They're wildly average.
As in, some are really good and some are terrible.
No, they're all pretty much in the middle. Nothing has blown me. There's been a couple that I'm like, wow, I'm really glad I got that. But there's been some, yeah, mostly they're just like, that was a book.
Yeah. I'm slowly dipping my toes into that. I did pick up a couple before my trip down because I thought I might read a little bit more, but nope, not true. I pretty much staggered around the park with my kid and then promptly passed the fuck out as soon as I got back to the room.
I bet.
Anyway,
I also bet
so
you guys didn't drink anywhere near enough water.
No, we did a pretty good job of that. We tried to stay up on top of that really well.
It's amazing because almost nobody who goes to Disneyland stays hydrated.
Yeah, we've both been there before, and so I think we were kind of cognizant of that. But anyway, we're over an hour.
We're over an hour, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was this month's book, Divergent by Veronica Roth.
Yeah, bullshit.
Just as shitty you'd expect it to be.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this just kind of perfectly highlights why we don't read young adult fiction for this podcast very often, because it's just terrible in all the exact same ways, right? Like
that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, we can tear apart this individual book for its, for the things that make it particularly specifically bad, like, the things we talked about that didn't make any sense. Even in the context of the book, they didn't make any sense. But it still shared the same tropes that made it bad. It still shared the same, and it tried to do showing and not telling, but it tried to do it way over the top. It's just. Yeah. Anyway, that was Divergent. So yeah, we will. We're gonna also listening audience for this year. Tyler and I, because we were both kind of annoyed at ourselves with how the end of last year went with the delays and everything. We are trying to make a commitment to read and record by 21st-ish, because if
21st, 22nd, basically we want a week before the end.
Yeah, because then if something comes up, like something invariably does, like, what was it last night for you that made it so we couldn't record?
Last night I was actually supposed to go see a taping of a TV show, but I ended up not doing that, and I went to the gym instead.
Oh, there you go. So
that should tell you something.
So we're trying to record on the 21st, so that if something does come up, we can still record in the month and then get it up, get the podcast uploaded and everything in the month. So for 2015, that is the commitment we are making, so that we're not, because the end of last year was terrible. So anyway, that's it. So this is the end of Season 4, Episode 1, Divergent by Veronica Roth, and I am Matt.
This is Tyler.
And good night.